Alright, so here we have the playoff matchups, and the playoff bracket. So let's get starting into my predictions. Alright, guys, so here's the series of Toronto and Montreal. Number 1 seed, of course, being Toronto, and number 4 being Montreal. Toronto, of course, did not have a good success in the first round. They lost to the Blue Jackets last year in the play-in round, and Montreal beat Pittsburgh in the play-in round. But Toronto generally gets faced with teams that are of similar or better status in the playoffs. This year, they are much better. They're like 20 points ahead of Montreal. So I'm going to go and say Toronto. Yes, there might be a bit of bias there, me being a Leafs fan, but I think Toronto should beat Montreal. But if it goes to Game 7, watch out, Toronto. And in the number of games, I am going to say 6. I think Price will take up a few saves. So there we go. Alright, so now we have the second seed Edmonton against the third, which is Winnipeg. This is going to be an evenly matched matchup, if not the most evenly matched. Of course, 2 and 3 generally are, but this one takes it up to another level, I'm assuming. It's going to be, at least, that's my opinion, of course. Edmonton has won 8 games and lost 2 of them in the last 10, whereas that's the the opposite for Winnipeg. So I'm going to say that Edmonton takes the series. It's going to be close, though, and here we go. In the number of games, I'm going to predict number 7. So now we got the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers. I could honestly see it going either way. I'm going to go with the Oilers. I know. I just don't want to be biased, but so I'm going to go with the Oilers. Although I could definitely see Toronto taking this, but here we go. This, to me at least, is a very one-sided way for me. It needs to be 4 games. We got number 1 seed Colorado, who kicked Vegas off the number 1 spot. And we got number 4 St. Louis. Guys, it's probably going to be Colorado. And like I said, if we go here on number of games, it's probably going to be a sweep. Alright, so now we have Vegas, the number 2 seed, and Minnesota, the number 3 seed. I think it's going to be closer than people are expecting, but I do think Vegas is going to win. Here we go to number of games. I think it's going to be 6 games, and now we're here for the second round of the West Division. I am going to go with Vegas wins the West Division. Oh, they were at the top of their division and the league for a while. Colorado did bump them out in the last game of theirs, but I think that Vegas is the stronger team here. Alright, so now we have the matchup of Pittsburgh, the number 1 seed, and New York Islanders, the number 4 seed. This is a rematch from the 2018 playoffs, yes, where the Islanders swept the Penguins. I felt the vibe from Pittsburgh, not gonna lie, but in the end, Pittsburgh hasn't had a great history. They lost in the last 2 years. They lost to the Islanders, like I said, in the sweep. Then they lost to Montreal in the play-in round, which was really disappointing for them. So I think that the Islanders will win it. I think they're going to win in 5 games. I think that the Pittsburgh Penguins will get a game out of them. It won't be as easy for the Islanders as last time, but I do think Islanders win this. Alright, so now we have number 2 seed Washington and number 3 seed Boston. I was originally going to go with Washington, but Boston has better success in the first round. They generally make it to the second round, if not farther. And Washington generally loses in the first round, other than when the time that they won the cup. So I'm going to go with Boston. I'm going to go in 5 games, just like the New York Islanders matchup and just like the Islanders and Penguins. And who do I think is going to make it out of the East Division? I think the New York Islanders are honestly going to make it out of this division. Alright, so now we have number 1 seed Carolina in the Central Division against the number 4 seed Nashville. Now, everyone seems to be going with Carolina, and that's the scary part. Last season, people predicted that Carolina would lose to the Rangers in the play-in round, and Carolina didn't. lose, which they ended up winning, which was a huge surprise for a lot of people. So whenever a lot of people go for something in the playoffs, it generally goes the other way. I am still going to go with Carolina, though. I think Carolina's been way better, and I think it's going to honestly be a sweep. I think Carolina just has the firepower this season. They've come from being a wildcard team to being a pro team, and I just think that's how it's going to work out. So now we have the number 2 seed, number 3 seed Tampa. Sorry, number 3 seed. Number 2 seed is Florida. I think it's going to be a big surprise. I'm going with Tampa. Tampa won the cup last year. They're not going to want to lose out. It may not. I don't think it's going to be a game 7. Game 6, perhaps. But Florida just doesn't have the same firepower as Tampa does. Now, who do I think is going to win the Central Division? I am going to go with Carolina. They just seem that much better. Alright, so now we have number 1 seed Vegas and number 4 seed Islanders. Islanders, I definitely see it as an upsetter, and they could definitely upset Vegas, but Vegas has been a force this season. I see Vegas beating out the Islanders. Now, of course, I could see it both ways. I think Vegas already takes it, and I think they move on to the actual finals. Alright, so now we have number 2 seed Carolina, number 3 seed Edmonton. This is going to be close if it ever happens. It will probably be a game 7. It could go literally either way. McDavid's been really good this season, but Carolina has also shown a lot of talent. In the end, I'm going to go with Carolina. I'd love to see it go like 2 former Metropolitan teams, or 2, so that'd be Carolina versus Islanders, or 2 former Pacific teams, Vegas versus Oilers. But Canadian teams, they don't generally make it to the finals. So I know, of course, one of them has to make it to the semifinals, which means they could probably make it to the finals. But that's who I've got. All right, so now we have number 1 Vegas and number 2 Carolina. This could probably go to game 6, I would say. But in the end, I'm going with Vegas. I'm going with Vegas finally gets to win the cup. That is probably a way too bold prediction, 25 goals in this whole series, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a high-scoring series, so I think Vegas will win the Stanley Cup. And now we are ready to submit and watch the playoffs.